before we begin, I want to just, by a show of hands of those who are currently present, our services have been at 6:30. There had been a request to try 7 o'clock. So by a show of hands, we've been trying this for a bit now. Show of hands, if you would like to remain at 7, please raise your hand. Anyone who is here today, if you'd like to remain. What? You don't mind, either way.
Yeah.
6:30 or 7 doesn't matter.
No.
6:30 or 7 doesn't matter.
My kids aren't going to be here.
Right.
Either way, because Gabriel just gets crabby and
Right,
it would be 6 and nobody can get through traffic.
right. So do you have a preference personally?
Probably 6:30, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm fine with 7.
You know, I've
You're a
never-
6:30 guy.
I'm a 6:30 guy.
Difference.
So, I mean, is it possible to not have it written in stone and maybe do a couple at 7?
I want to go back to 6:30.
But if there's a week, if there's
The thing is that, so, and hi to everybody, Shabbat Shalom to anyone who's watching on YouTube. So anything's possible. What needs to be considered is, even though things are posted and listed and email blasts and whatnot, oftentimes when times change, people get confused and, could we maybe try to set once a month at 7? I don't know. We need to,
like the last Friday night of the month or something like that.
The problem is that's confusing.
Yeah.
That's
I guess.
confusing, and think about it, you're one of the younger members of the congregation, all right? Okay. 'Cause I know
it's,
you're young.
I'm willing to do whatever the congregation wants. Aviv, this is for you. I took your copy.
That's it, okay.
Yeah. Right, but it doesn't, I'm willing to do what the congregation wants. I just wanted to kind of take a, yeah, John. Right.
That's what we noticed.
Right. Travis, what do you think? I agree. I hear what you're saying. Use your preference. 6:30.
6:30.
There's one family that has been here from time to time when it moved, since it moved to 7, that was not previously. But other than that, I think that we've probably lost some people instead of gained more. So, all right, I appreciate everybody's feedback. So let's start again. Uh-huh.
From 8 to go to 6:30, maybe a little bit extreme, from 6:30 to 7.
Right, well, I can tell you, I came here in 2016, which has been 8.5 years, and it was 6:30 when I came. When I came, that's what I inherited, so that's what I believe you. I'm just saying, ever since, when I came, it was already at 6:30.
And I'd been here 10 years when you came, because you were president from 2004 to 2006, right? Yeah. Okay, because he was president when I came here, and it was 6:30 when I got here.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was 6.
Right. Right,
4 times the congregation.
right. Nice to see you, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right. I would really love to do something that we do on Shabbat morning, instead of sitting like so far apart, and I know the camera could pick us up. What do folks feel, and Aviv, what do you feel if we set up a music stand for you? You don't want to sit in a circle? Are you okay, Aviv?
What, being on the Bima?
No, sit in a circle down below.
Whatever you want.
Let's give it a shot. It's more intimate, it's nicer, we do it Shabbat morning, it makes for better discussions.
Whatever you want.
So Travis, I know that you could get right here. Well, what we could do is, we'll just, we normally do move them, but there aren't a lot of us. We can make this work. We can make this work. I'm gonna just here, 1 second.
Got it?
Yeah.
I
I'm
need
used to
to put my
schlepping here.
stuff. Love it down a bit. Down a bit. Just as specific as that. 1 second, just a dab, up and down. You know, but I need to put my stuff down. It's for me. I sit here and I need to have a place just to put my stuff. So give me 1 second. All right, Travis, do you have us in your sight, so to speak? Excellent. All right, so this is, Zena, come a little closer. Yeah.
She doesn't bite, I promise.
Yeah, only on alternate Wednesdays, when the moon is
And
full.
only Lee can spit. Am I right?
Yeah.
You're the only one that can spit.
Then I'm gonna be.
All right. Well, here we go again. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And for those at home, Shabbat Shalom. Aviv, do you have yourself situated in a place where you're comfortable and you can... You're going to join us, Mark. He always does. Yeah. Of course. All right, so what do we... Yeah, it's great. All right. So here we are. So it's Shabbat evening. I take it we've all had very full weeks. Shabbat is an opportunity for us to come together, to slow down, to let go of the worries and the burdens and the stress of the week. Even positive stress is still stress. So let's just begin by taking 3 deep breaths in. Take our first one in and hold it. Exhale slowly. Second deep breath. Exhale slowly. This time, deep in, breathe in peace. Shalom. Exhale any stress, tension. So now that we're together, in a little bit more settled way, it's appropriate for us to turn to page 10, the top of the page, and join together in the singing of Hinei Matov, which literally means, behold, how good it is, and how nice it is, how pleasant, when we come together as brothers and sisters. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד. Yes, my apologies for those online, can't hear us without a mic. Travis, if there's a way for you just to kind of like set that and come join us in the circle so you could have a taste of Shabbat as well, that would really be lovely. At this time, I'm going to invite Ellen to light the candles. I'm going to pass you the mic.
Set that down for just a second. Stay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chalik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen. Yep. And grab that, please, Phil.
Thank you, Ellen. Ellen is also our board member who is the Bema guest this week. So we're going to continue on page number 8. And let's join together. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. So it says here in this prayer, through prayer, I sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy. And I was wondering, we can pass the mic if you'd like to share, please do. What is something that you feel is either your inner purpose, something that brings you joy, really in a deep way, or something that is a source of strength for you? So since I'm asking the question, it's only fair if I begin. I think a great source of strength for me is knowing that there is a being greater than myself in this world that's more powerful than I am, and that I don't have all the answers, I'll never have all the answers, but if I can remain open and teachable, that answers will come. So for me, belief in a being, a creator with a capital C, brings me strength, especially in the harder times.
I don't know. I think the family is pretty much your strengths, right? When you see your kids coming in and they enjoying your company and just bring you strength and joy and love.
So this week we had the opportunity to spend a period of time with both of my sons and their families, and we do that so seldom. And it just was really nice to have the two boys there and their lovely wives and our 4 grandchildren, you know. So it was really, you know, it really gives you a good feeling to do something like that.
Beautiful. I'm going to ask folks, this mic doesn't pick up a lot from a distance, so we need to kind of put it close. Thanks. You got it.
Well, children and grandchild is a wonderful source of strength and sense of purpose. So I agree with you all.
I'm going to add to family. So far we've been talking about biological family, but there's also close friends. There's also, in my case, I have bandmates, longtime bandmates, even some people that I used to play in groups with and don't, but they're still family. Family, it's true, your biological family you don't choose, but you have other people that become your family that you do choose.
I would say, I would ditto everything that everyone has said so far, but add to that, for me, music and dance. I've been in the same international ethnic dance group. I'm embarrassed to say how long, but over 45 years or more. And that's just something that's in me and important to me. And it's where I met my husband.
I would probably echo what has already been said, but I would also say just being able to look at things through the eyes of my children. I took Emma ice skating for the first time on New Year's Day, and she was really scared of it the first time, and then a couple times around, she just, got into it and enjoyed it. So just being able to kind of, relive my memories of things that I've experienced through their eyes is very interesting and engaging.
I'm going to echo everything, and I'm going to piggyback off what Linda said. I think we all have music. I'm going to use the term broadly, not just instrumental music, but some sort of some form of expression in us that helps us get through the day or get through the week, or maybe this leaves us with the satisfaction that when we're not here, God knows when, we will leave something behind. Someone will remember that. For Linda, it's her music, it's her dance. For me, it's my poetry. Everybody has something, though, and that is a rock as well.
So, like everybody has said, ditto to everything. But yes, but not just family and not just my creator. When you are in the business world and you've been dealing with the same people for over a dozen years, and they call you for advice and you are able to give it, and they love to hear what you say, and you share your personal issues with them, they share theirs with you, and you become friends with them, and they are going to miss you desperately. And I know I'm going to miss them. I'm glad to be done with the business here very soon, but all of it. But I'm definitely, still have the building, unfortunately, so there will still be some bills associated, but that's a pleasure compared to anything else. So, but yeah, it's been a very fun ride. I've been very fortunate.
Thank you, and hopefully the building will sell sooner than later. I want to just say that at ice skating, it was really great the other day. Travis was there, of course, Linda was there, I was there. I haven't ice skated since I was 12, and I was really nervous, but I ended up doing it. And, but seeing Emma, like with her thumbs up in a picture, that was like awesome. And even with Noah, it was only her second time ever, and at first she was like holding onto the wall, and I said, Noah, the wall is not your friend. And she ended up, figuring out how to do it too. So that ability to learn and to grow is a gift that each of us has and passes on. So we're going to continue on page 10 with Ma Yafeh Hayom, how beautiful and lovely is this day, wishing each other a Sabbath of peace. We're going to continue now on page 146 as we rise for the Baruch Hu, and we will open the Ark. So I invite Ellen to the Bima.
Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Le'olam Va'ed Hamevorach Hamevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Okay, so we're going to continue on page 147 with our blessing for creation. But before we do, I want to ask the blessing that we just chanted, the Baruch Hu, we call it the call to worship. Why is it called the call to worship? It's part of the rubric of the prayer service that's called Shema U'Birchotecha, the Shema and its blessings, or her blessings, because it's feminine, but who's being called and from where? Okay, so let's answer this question by asking another question, a very Jewish thing to do. In addition to Shabbat, which days of the week do we read Torah? Mondays and Thursdays, correct. So why Mondays and Thursdays? Very good. So as Aviv said, it's market days. There's nothing intrinsically extra holy or special about a Monday or a Wednesday. There's nothing in the Torah or the Talmud that says we have to, those are the days. But those were the days people went to market, which meant that those were the days that you had a big gathering of people in one place. So it makes sense to read the Torah when people are present, right? Plus you need a minyan anyway. So the call to worship, right? So everything that you do up to the Baruch Hu is really like your warm-up, so to speak. It's trying to get you ready and prepared emotionally, spiritually to worship. Sometimes we come in to the sanctuary, we have stuff on our mind. Sometimes we're racing in the door. We're thinking still about the day, whatnot. The hope is that by the time we get to the Baruch Hu, we're calling everybody. It's kind of like, okay, come on, it's time to pray, you know, like hopefully by that time we're in a prayerful space, we've settled in, and that's who we're calling, and that's why it's called the call to worship. All right, so let's continue with our blessing for creation, and we all love this earth God gave us. I will speak for myself. I love snow. I know we have a big storm on the way. I know some people are not excited about it. Personally, I'm hoping that there will be a lot of snow. However, for those who aren't psyched, try to enjoy the beauty and just stay in, stay warm, and stay safe. All right, here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim. Bechokma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono, bore yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, vechoshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, Umavdil bin yom uvein laila, Adonai tzevaot shemo, Elcha tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We're going to continue on 148 with the singing of Ahavat Olam, and I'm going to pass the mic this way so it can be closer to Aviv.
ahavat olam. Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al Kain Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu u'bkumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratcha u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu Uvahem nege yomam balayla, nege yomam balayla, ve'avadcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim. Baruch ata Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael.
Continue on the very next page with Shema Yisrael. Please rise for the watchword of our faith.
Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated as we join together in the chanting of V'ahavta, page 150. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta ba'am b'shiftecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'aderech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam le'od al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kiroshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihiyot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. So before we leave the V'ahavta, let's just take a look at it in the English. So it begins by telling us you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. In the Torah, well, let me say this way. When we think of our heart, we think of that as love, our emotions. But in the Torah, the heart was understood as the seat of intelligence. And so when it talks about loving Adonai, your God, with all your heart, Clearly, they want us to love God, with all our being, with our intellect, with our emotions, with our strength, our physical strength to do mitzvot. And the idea is to draw close to God, to feel a connection to God. And when we look at the things that are listed here, we see that these are things that we can do not only when we come to the synagogue, but things that we can do wherever we are, including at home, that can help us feel more connected with God. So, for example, take these instructions, these commandments, right, that God has commanded us to do, and impress them upon your children. We all understand that. Teach your children Judaism, pass it down, the tradition, the heritage, the history, etc. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away. Well, what's the them? Well, you could certainly talk about the commandments, but it's also blessings, right? We don't only have to say the blessing over the wine when we're in synagogue. We could be at the fanciest of restaurants, and even if we don't want to say it out loud, if we're having a glass of wine, we can just say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen, reminding us that God created the fruit of the vine, which brought us this delicious wine. Or it could be done at home. Before you have a sandwich, you're having bread, you can just say, Motzi. When you lie down and when you get up, well, there is a specific prayer that we say first thing in the morning, the Modeh Ani. We thank God for restoring our souls and giving us the gift of life. The rabbis have taught that sleep is 1/60th of death. So when we arise, we're grateful and we thank God. But it could be a prayer. It could just be, God, thank you for letting me wake up today. Again, another way of being God conscious. And when you lie down, well, what's the traditional prayer that a Jewish person says before they go to sleep? The Shema. It's also ideally the last prayer that a Jew utters before he or she takes your last breath. And sometimes somebody says it on your behalf if you're not able to, but that's something that we all can do at home, lying in bed, recite the Shema. Then bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. We know that's specific to the tefillin. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Well, we know they're talking about the mezuzah. And again, whether you have one on every doorpost, except for the ones where we shouldn't, like the bathroom, like the garage, right? Or you just have one on the front door, whether you choose to kiss it or not, if you're just aware of it, again, it just kind of reminds us that, oh yeah, like it connects us with God, right? It just allows us to know that there is this being, right, that's there for us, that loves us, that cares about us. And also, when we think about our connection with God, it reminds us to make good decisions. All of us can be strayed from doing what we know is the right thing to do. There's always temptations out there. There's always, the way to kind of like get around the quote unquote, the right way to do it. I don't mean right, but like the proper way to do it, right? And sometimes when we're mindful of God, it can help us not stray, which is why people who wear tefillin, because that's one of the reasons, like you see it hanging there and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to da-da-da-da-da. And you think, you know what, that's not really the right thing. I'm not going to tell that guy off. You know what, I'm just going to let it go, right? That kind of thing. So we have in our lives visible reminders of God's presence that have nothing to do with being in the synagogue and nothing to do with praying from a prayer book. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. Well, we know we can't do all of the commandments. Some of them you can only do when there's the temple, up and running, which it's not. Some can only be done in the land of Israel, and we're not living in Israel. But the idea is that if we give tzedakah, right, if we make a shiva call, if we check on someone who's ill, these are all commandments, right? Not everything, again, has to be connected to the synagogue. And by doing these things, it adds kedusha, it adds holiness to our lives. And think about it. How many of us, when we give and help another person, we get so much more in return. And then it ends, I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. So God's just kind of reminding of our historical past, which is also a way of reminding us that we are connected to a people, right? That we have a long, long history. And then that brings us to the top again, to teach it to our children. So the V'ahavta, while it's part of the Shema, it's also practical for us. And it serves a purpose and a function in our life on a regular basis, whether inside the synagogue or not. Okay, so we're now going to turn to page 152, which has the Mi Chamocha, because for us, remembering that God brought us out of the land of Egypt, as we just read in the V'ahavta, it's a very important piece of our peoplehood and our history. And so this is why we continue to chant Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, se'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
Let's keep the mic down by Aviv as we go to page 154. And we continue with the Shamru.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael od hi leolam, od hi leolam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. U'bayom hashvi'i Shabbat va'inafash, Shabbat va'inafash, Shabbat va'inafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
We're going to continue on 155 as we rise for the Amidah and we open the Ark.
For this much I can do, you guys. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava. Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם,
Kel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Baal Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. You know, Aviv, I was thinking we could do like play music, kind of like Hot Potato, and we pass the mic, and then whoever gets the mic gets to talk. You either read the prayer or answer the question. All right, so why don't we continue on page, number, I'll stick with my plan, page 160, the middle of the page. Let's join together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh ha-Shabbat. So well, it's time for us to think about peace, which we continue to do. And we just finished the Festival of Lights. We know that light can be a symbol of hope, a symbol of joy, a symbol of optimism. And I say it often because it needs to be said that we cannot give up on hoping and working for peace. We know peace eludes us, but we are obligated to do anything and everything that we can to bring more peace, more wholeness into this world. Sometimes it's helping a neighbor. Sometimes it's helping a stranger. But all these little things, when they're added together and multiplied by the multitudes, it does have an impact. So many people have a sign up that says, be kind. When you're kind to someone, it's the opposite of hate. Hate brings the opposite of peace. So even by being kind to people is a way of adding more shalom to our world. So let's join together, page 164, Shalom Rav.
Oh, you two with dinner. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov ve'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael v'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
At this time, we call to mind our loved ones who are in need of prayers of healing on this Shabbat. Our prayers are with Fran Skoll, Paul Tackett, Diane Levine, Chassia Haberman, Adam Carico, Sherry Davies, Chloe Hong, Leah Dolman, Joe Flaxman, Malia Willis, the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces, the men and women of the IDF, the hostages who have been held in Gaza for 455 days, the Israelis who continue to be displaced from their homes, the innocent Palestinians who are suffering because of the war started by Hamas, the people of Ukraine, the people in New Orleans, and the people in Las Vegas who are shaken by the recent car suicide bombings. If you'd like to add the names of your loved ones, I'll pass the mic, and feel free to say the names of your loved ones aloud at this time.
David and Gaba Gavi, Oksana Brudner, Igor Birnstein, John Soleta.
Oksana Brudner, Gaba Gavi, Igor Pergam, Igor Brainstein, and John Pample.
Smear Gold.
Lev Dickerman, David Shapiro.
Odette Sinclair, Rose Stevens, Mark Cannon.
Chris Bowles.
April and Sam Marcus and Al Younger.
We join together in our prayer for healing, which can be found in the middle of page 253.
Thank you. Mi sheberach avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberak imotenu mikor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Continue now silently with Tefillat Halev, the prayers of our own heart.
Ose shalom bimromav uya'ase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav uya'ase shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's really been good being together, and we sound a lot better singing when we're sitting together. When it's like, yeah, all over the room. Exactly. So, so this week's Torah portion, we're still in the story of Joseph, and it's coming to an end, and we have Parshat Vayigash, and Vayigash means and he approached. And this is, I know that Aviv was here last week and talked about the Torah portion. And, we're at the point where now where the brothers are now back, right? They've gone back and forth, and they're back in Egypt. And they say to their brother, whom obviously they don't yet know, that it's their brother Joseph. But... This week's Torah portion starts with Judah approaching directly to Joseph and asking, saying, Judah approaches him and says, please give your servant a hearing and do not let your anger flare up. He doesn't talk to the servants or the translator. He goes directly to them. And he says, you asked if we have a father or a brother, and we have an aged father and a young boy of his old age. And they start talking, but what happens is that they don't want Benjamin, he doesn't want Benjamin to be able to go back to Canaan. Why? Because what did they find in Benjamin's sack that was put there intentionally by Joseph's men? The silver goblet, right? And they're like, no, like he has to go back. my father already lost a son, he will die, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what happens is, this is, you know, then this emotional scene, which is, you know, it's just like very emotional, where, you know, Joseph has known all along that these are his brothers. They have no idea that their brother is Joseph. And then we have these verses, I'll read them in English. Joseph could no longer restrain himself before all who were standing in attendance, so he cried, "Send everyone away from me," so that no one else was there when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. He gave voice to a loud wail, and the Egyptians heard. Pharaoh's palace heard. Joseph then said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father really alive?" And his brothers were unable to answer because they recoiled in fear. There are so many things in these 4 Torah portions where we learn about Joseph, right, and his brothers and all of the interchanges. But there's one thing I want to talk about tonight. We hear this dramatic scene where Joseph, right, he's the vizier, he's the right-hand man of the Pharaoh. And not only does he cries so loud that everyone in Egypt, and not only his palace, everyone in Egypt hears him. There's clearly this emotional, visceral reaction that Joseph is having. But we forget that this is not the first time the Torah tells us that Joseph cried. The first time was when they go down to Egypt and they are accused of being spies, and they say amongst themselves, "Oh, this is because of what we did to our brother Joseph. God is punishing us." Now, unfortunately, they're really more concerned that, oh gosh, we're having a hard time. It's not like, wow, what we did to our brother was really wrong. There's really not the sense of repentance there. However, when he hears this, they don't hear this or see this, but he cries. That's an emotional moment for him. Whether it's because, you know, he hears his brother acknowledging, right, what they did. They're not repenting, but they're at least owning it, right? And he hears that, and it's like, ah. So that's one time. Then, when they come back with Benjamin, we know that they send him back, and he says, "Don't come back here if you don't bring, you know, your youngest brother." And they go back, and Jacob, absolutely, no, 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 no. And time goes by, and they're starting to run out of the food that they got the first time. And Jacob says, "Look, you need to go back to Egypt to get more food." And they say, "Look, this guy told us if we don't bring up back our youngest brother, don't come back." So finally, Jacob consents. And it tells us that when Joseph sees Benjamin, who is his full blood, you know, 100% blood brother, same mother, same father, he also cries. And then we have this more dramatic wailing, this just like release of emotion of such intensity. And Joseph, what we learn from this is, if we think about Joseph throughout his time, right? When we first learn of him, he's arrogant, right? He has these dreams that, like, his parents and his brothers, they're bowing down to him. He's a tattletale. He's like a little pisher. You know, he's not such a great guy, right? Then he ends up in jail, but then he has this gift from God to tell dreams. He rises to a position of power, so he has that whole side of him. Behold, his brothers show up, and he kind of, you know, he doesn't just say, "Oh my God, guys, how are you doing? I'm your brother," right? He kind of, you know, he makes them earn, right? He kind of puts them through it. What'd you say? No, just makes them earn. Yeah, he makes them earn it, right? He kind of, you know, and with all these sides of him, just like with so many other people, because he had a position of power, right? And when he was younger, he was arrogant, right? People that are arrogant, you don't always think of them as them being like emotional, right? But this guy who had so much power, he did. He had a warm heart, right? He was affected when he saw his brothers. And he couldn't hold back any longer, okay? And the fact that he cried, it shows us his humanity. It's that other side of a person. And it reminds us that it's so easy for us when we see a slice of a person, we interact with them in this way or that way, where they're the guy who, always we buy our coffee from, or he's the regular cashier at this store, or they're the ones we deal with in business, or, on and on. It's so easy just to see a slice of a person and think we know who they are. But I once heard someone say, and I think it's so true, we don't know all the pieces of another person's puzzle, right? We don't know what they've gone through. We don't know their joys, their hardships, their challenges, their blessings. We just see what we see. And we all make certain assumptions about who they are based on the slice that we see. So if you pick up this story at some point, you're going to have a different idea of who Joseph was. When he's young, he's arrogant, when he's the vizier, he's powerful, and he saves the whole land, not only of Egypt, but the country nearby, because people could come and get food, right? We see him as this powerful person. But when we hear 3 times that he's crying, right, he's also, he has love in his heart. He loves his brothers. He's able to show emotion, and he cares. And despite what they did to him, he forgives them. Now, we know that he says, look, this was part of God's plan. There's a reason I'm here. But even so, right, the whole story could have been told. He didn't have to cry, right? He still could have been full of emotion, but he cries. And I think it's just so important when we deal with people, which we do every single day, to remember that in that moment, we're seeing a slice of who they are. And we don't know all the pieces of another person's puzzle. So it reminds us to give people the benefit of the doubt. It reminds us sometimes to say, you know what, I'm just going to let that go, and move on, right? And so all of us have a lot of sides to us because we were created by a creator that's very complicated and multifaceted, and we are too. So we know that we can have many sides, and when they say, which I was never a fan of, big boys don't cry, I don't believe that, right? Men have tear ducts. There's no shame, there's no lack of honor if a man cries. In fact, when a man is able to express those emotions, more power to them, right? It's a teaching that's from another time. I don't think it's really relevant. Not that it's not relevant. I think that men shouldn't have to feel like I need to be stoic, right? Especially when it comes to family. So there's a beautiful story of family, even though parts of the story are not great. It also reminds us that if we have differences with members of our families, we're starting a new year. This is an opportunity, if we have some fences to mend, if we have some relationships that we want to rekindle or try again or move in a different direction, Joseph teaches us it's never too late. Shabbat Shalom. I will now give the mic to our Bima guest.
Hi. Shabbat Shalom. Services will be tomorrow at 10:30. God willing, we will only have rain Sunday, and we will be able to have Mahjong here from 2 to 4 on Sunday. Are you coming? Yeah. So.
I'm coming.
Cool. So Zena's been putting up with me trying to teach me. Still a work in progress, but hopefully we will be able to have that. Zena, if the weather's bad, how will we know?
If you can let me know, I can post it on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, we probably won't really know till Sunday morning. So, I mean, I think it's a small enough group that we can reach out to people. I can call a few people, and so I don't know if Slava or Janet will call a few people.
Slava's off.
Oh, she's not going to be here.
I'm not saying she's coming up, but right now she's like on vacation, right? I mean, she's home, I think. She said she's off right now.
Okay,
So,
okay,
but I don't know if she's coming or not Sunday,
Okay.
but Janet, I think.
yeah.
On Sunday,
Right.
she opened the door.
And she may or may not, so I'm just saying, but Janet also, I think, has a list of people, so somehow we'll get the word out,
Yeah,
right?
we'll get it out.
Who's got the key to the temple if she's not?
Well, my key works, so I need you to walk through the closing.
Oh, you found the key.
Janet's husband?
We're talking about March on
I
Sunday.
know.
Yeah.
I can unlock the door. I can actually do that.
You can come to chapel.
Wow.
Then I'll sit next to her.
Friday, January 10th at 7, Ben Norton, who is the Gucci song leader. It's going to be a youth-led Shabbat service. So do we know how many youth are going to be?
It's not, I think it's gonna be about 6, but
Okay.
still, we wanna support them.
Yes,
support our
definitely,
youth.
definitely. January 17th, MLK Shabbat. Dr. Sherry Dawson Edwards, a vice provost and professor of criminal justice at U of L, and the national board member of the American Civil Liberties Union, will speak on keeping the dream alive. Please support her as well. Members of Temple Shalom will participate in the service, and an ONEG will follow services. On January 21st, there'll be a lunch and learn at Lemoni Sal at 10,000 Brownsboro Road, which is a restaurant, and the speakers are going to be the two gals from Israel that were here, Eden Desta and Kyla Gratis, Israeli high school students, but it doesn't say what time.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, okay. So, and then on January 31st and February 1st, please RSVP for Dan Nichols. It'll be Friday night is at the temple, and Saturday morning and Saturday night are here. And the whole event is free. You just need to RSVP for it. Muy importante.
Yes. If you're having food,
Yes.
just going to the service, you don't have to be RSVP, but there's like a dinner before Friday night service, there's a lunch after.
Yeah.
And then Saturday night, there'll be like pizza or something light, so,
So, yeah, we definitely need counts on all that.
Whether it's going to be in here.
not yet, I gotta talk to Dan. I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
Pizza's coming. It's
I
very
was-
important.
muy importante, yes. No sé nada. So anyway, so please RSVP to that. Do we need to RSVP for the lunch and learn?
Yes,
Okay.
to Slava.
To Slava, okay. So for January 21st as well. Please RSVP for that as well.
RSVP for the Dan Nichols thing, but I can't tell if it's for the whole thing or just for.
There's a way of, when you go there, there's a way of like RSVPing for each event individually,
Online?
online, and well, so it's in the email blast. There's flyers here if you go to it. Yeah, thank you. So, it's on the Families at Temple Shalom. So if you go to Families at Temple Shalom Facebook page, maybe if we could put it on our website, if there's a way. It's on the website too. Thank you so much, Travis. There's different ways. If you need help, let me know. But basically, you sign up for each, there's 3 different events and you indicate which one, and then you put the name of each person for each event. Okay?
And bring 20 of your closest friends.
Yes.
Aviv, thank you for music, appreciate it, and Travis for doing all the streaming services, and Linda and Mark for being roadies, so, as Lee has pointed out. So I think that's it.
Thank you, Ellen, and thank you for representing the Board of Trustees as our BEMA guest. So thank you so much. We're going to continue in the middle of 282 with Elena Lishabeach, and I'm going to ask everyone to please rise. Open.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
284.
שבונות השמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו גובה מרומי. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת. אין עוד
287.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. This time we call to mind our loved ones. Thank you. At this time, we call to mind our loved ones who are no longer with us physically, but live on within our minds and our hearts. If you're here to recite Kaddish for a loved one, you're invited to rise when their name is read aloud. Tonight we remember Benjamin Baer, Nettie Galanter, Eunice B. Gersh, Eve Hersfeld, Natalie Jackowitz, Julian Kolotkin, Morris Kay, Walter Kratz, Harold Levine, Betty Levinson, Lionel Levinstone, Moses Master, Zahava Naamani, Bella Steinman. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing, and may they rest in peace as we rise together as a congregation, praising God's holy name with the Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Gal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamad v'rach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayeichon uvyomeichon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'yimeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam olamei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudasha berichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran b'yalma v'yimeru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimeru, amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us say together, amen. So our concluding song tonight is Bim Bam. If folks want to sit, fine. If it's kind of hard on the legs and knees and hips to sit and stand, if people want to stay standing, that's okay too.
Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam.